I. The Great Pyramid of Giza is known best for how long it has been around with human civilization. In case you don't know, it was built between 2584 to 2561 BC, that's over 4,000 years ago. It is dubbed as an ancient wonder of the ancient world, and it is the only ancient wonder to still hold up in decent condition. But, surely this cannot be the only ancient wonder to have existed. There must be some other ancient wonder out there. Well, yes and no. There were 6 other ancient wonders alongside the pyramid, but unfortunately all 6 of these were destroyed. So what were these other 6 ancient wonders, and what happened to them? The other ancient wonders were as follows: the Temple of Artemis at Ephesus, statue of Zeus at Olympia, the Mausoleum of Halicarnassus, the Colossus of Rhodes, the Lighthouse of Alexandria, and the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. I'll go through these talking about when they were built, who built them and why they got destroyed. So let's go. The Temple of Artemis at Ephesus was built in 550 BC, in modern-day Turkey. The temple was dedicated to the Greek goddess, Artemis, hence the name. It was built by Greeks and Lydians, and in 356 BC it was burned down by Herostratus, an arsonist seeking fame under any means that he could. Just gonna sidetrack here, there was an attempt to get him completely wiped from history, forbidding his name to be mentioned anywhere and everywhere. But of course this didn't really work, because I just said his name, and know who he is. He's also the reason the term, herostratic fame, exists. Anyway, back to the main point of the video. The temple was rebuilt again in 322 BC, but was plundered by the Goths in 268 AD, causing it to be destroyed in the process. The statue of Zeus at Olympia was built in 2 parts, the temple and the statue. The temple part was built from 466 to 456 BC, and the statue being built in 435 BC, in Olympia, modern-day Greece. It was built by the Greek sculptor, Phidias. The cause of the destruction of the statue isn't fully determined. But the most popular theory is that the statue had been relocated to Constantinople, and was later destroyed by a fire. The Mausoleum of Halicarnassus was built in 351 BC, in modern-day Turkey. It was built by some Greeks, Persians, and Carians. It lasted for over 1,500 years. But a series of earthquakes during the 12th and 15th century had taken a toll on the mausoleum, which shattered the columns. By 1404, only the base of it was left recognizable. It was eventually demolished in 1494, making it the second longest standing ancient wonder. The Colossus of Rhodes was constructed from 292 to 280 BC, in Rhodes, Greece. It was built by Greek sculptor Charles of Lindos. The Rhodes statue stood 105 meters tall, and stayed like that for 56 solid years, until an earthquake hit in 226 BC, the statue was snapped at the knees. Everything from the knee down was all what was left of the Colossus. And the remains were melted down by invading Arab forces in 653 AD. The Lighthouse of Alexandria was built in 280 BC, in, you guessed it, Alexandria, in Egypt. It was built by Greeks and Ptolemaic Egyptians and stood roughly between 103 and 118 meters high, which made it the tallest man-made structure for over 14 centuries. Sadly, Mother Nature would choose to flip the bird to the lighthouse, hitting it with 3 severe earthquakes between 956 and 1323 AD, which left the lighthouse in ruins. It wasn't until 1480 when the remains of the lighthouse had been used to create a defensive fortress in its place. Also, as recent as 1994, some French archaeologists had discovered some remains of the lighthouse on the ocean floor in Alexandria's harbor. So that's neat, I guess. And finally, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. This one is actually a controversial ancient wonder, because there are speculations that the gardens didn't exist, because there's a lack of prolific evidence proving the gardens were real from Babylonian texts and archaeology. But there have been a few popular theories thrown around suggesting what the gardens were and what happened to them. The first theory is that it was entirely made up, and claims of the gardens made in Greek and Roman writing were meant to symbolize the romantic ideal of a garden. The second theory is that it did exist in Babylon, but got destroyed around the 1st century AD. The final theory is that the gardens were referred to a well-documented garden built by an Assyrian king, who built the garden in his capital, near Mosul, in modern-day Iraq. So those were all the other ancient wonders, and what happened to each of them? 2 destroyed by fires, 3 by earthquakes, and 1 that has gaslit historians for centuries. Hope y'all enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.